What's up everyone, it's Andres Restart. So, today I'm going to talk about the Nintendo Switch and the lower reported specs by Eurogamer. So, this is basically what I'm saying today. These lower specs that we're hearing about from Eurogamer are actually a good thing for Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch, and us. So let me explain why. Now, first off, let me say that yeah, I want a system to have a lot of power because I like graphics. I like games that look as great as they can. That's all really cool. I love technology. I love things to push as much polygons and teraflops as possible. That's all really cool to me because I'm a dork. But what's most important to me are games, because I love to play games because I'm a dork. Or not even a dork, because games are awesome. Video games are awesome. And the more games, the better. And I want the Nintendo Switch to do well. And in order to do well, it needs the games. But I think these lower specs are actually going to be what the system needs to get the games. Now let me explain why. So yes, power is important. You need high specs or decent enough specs to get third-party support. But what's most important is the architecture. The games need to be able to run very well on the system. It needs to be easy to develop for. Look at the Wii. The Wii is one of the best-selling systems, the best home console in terms of sales for Nintendo ever. But the system didn't exactly get the same third-party support from the competition, even though it sold so well. It was because it was weak, but really it was because the architecture was so different. It was such an old architecture that it didn't really mesh well compared to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Their architectures were very similar, and it was easier and cheaper to develop games for those two systems rather than to develop a game for the Wii because the architecture was so different. So they made more money by simply creating a game for those two systems rather than having to create a whole other game, basically, so it could run on the Wii. Now with the Nintendo Switch, from what we're hearing from developers, apparently the architecture is actually very good, and it's very easy to develop for. Apparently we're hearing that it's the easiest system to develop for. And now this is rumor, but apparently the system is able to run the same games that are running on PS4 and Xbox One on Unreal Engine 4 at medium settings as opposed to high settings compared to the competition. That's pretty good. Yes, it's weaker than the competition, but medium versus high, that's not that big of a difference. The games are still going to look pretty good. And that's good. That's great news. If the system can accomplish that, Nintendo Switch can accomplish that for third-party support, that's great. So, let's say it has the right architecture, which is what we're hearing. These lower specs do not mean the system's not going to be able to get the game. So keep in mind, everything's a lot more scalable now. Everything's developed through PC, and it works out. That's one of the reasons why the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Scorpio are coming out, because those games that are coming out for those newer systems are still going to come out for the Xbox One and the PS4. Because everything's scalable now. Those games are basically going to be running everything at like max settings, while the Xbox One and PS4 are going to just run things at like high. And I guess the Nintendo Switch is going to be like at medium. And now on the go, which has to be even weaker, it's going to be like, I guess, low, right? Like, you know, approximately. So, as long as the Nintendo Switch has the right architecture, it can work out. And the reason these lower specs will work is because since it has the right architecture, it should have just enough power to be able to run the games that third-party developers are making. And with these lower specs, the system will have a better price. Instead of it being like $400, $500, it's going to be $250, $300. And people will be more willing to buy the system with that. And if people are buying the system at launch, then the system is more likely to maintain the third-party support it's going to start off with. And then maybe even more developers will jump on board, and it will have more third-party support, and then it will continue to sell well because of it. It's kind of like, you know, it's going to be like a catch-22. They're going to be in a cycle where the system will sell well, so developers will support the system. But if the system doesn't sell well, so developers won't support the system. And in order to sell well, the developers need to support the system. I know, it's kind of funny, but that's just the way it works. So what Nintendo needs to do is hit the right balance. So pricing is very important, and having those lower specs facilitates that. But not only that, the system needs to have good battery life. And when you take it on the go, which is the whole big innovation thing that sets it apart from the competition, is you can switch from playing your quality home console experience and take it on the go. And that needs to work really well. In order for it to work really well, you need to have a good battery life. But if the system is running really high clock speeds and is getting very hot, it's just not very likely to have a good battery life. That's not realistic. So if it was really, really powerful, maybe it would only have like a 1 to 2 hours of battery life, and that wouldn't cut it. And the whole aspect that sets itself from the competition wouldn't work well. People wouldn't really care about the portable aspect if it has a bad battery life. But if it has a good battery life, then that'll work out for the system, because then people are like, oh, it has a great battery life, this system is great on the go, but it's great at home. People are more likely to buy it that way. So with these lower specs, hopefully we're getting a system that has a good battery life, so it's a great portable experience, but also still good enough to have a good quality home console experience. And with this good experience, it's going to be affordable and people are going to buy it, and developers are going to continue to support the system because it's selling so well. And it's all going to work together. What Nintendo needs to do is catch that right balance. And that's what I think Nintendo's going for here. I think they're shooting for that right balance. That's why it's not going to be so powerful. So it can be affordable, but also be just powerful enough to have the right architecture to run the games. And that's what's most important, guys, the balance. Look at the PS2. The PlayStation 2, in my opinion, is one of the systems that had the right balance, and that's why it did so well. So it came out at a time where DVD players were just coming out, and one of the features the PS2 had was a DVD player. It was one of the cheapest DVD players you can get at the time. So people were buying the system just for the DVD player. It was that aspect that set itself apart from the competition, and people wanted it for just that. Kind of like the Nintendo Switch and its ability to take it, for you to take it on the go. But the other aspect of the PS2 that was really great is that it was affordable, and developers were supporting systems because it was relatively easy to develop for. So it had a lot of games, and because it had a lot of games and it had DVD support, people were buying the system. And because people were buying the system, there was a lot of money to be made by putting games on the system, so the system got more support. And the Sony released the system at the right time. They had the right balance of everything together. That the system did extremely well. It sold extremely well. One of the greatest systems of all time in terms of sales. It had a lot of great games. And it destroyed the GameCube and the Xbox at the time. It destroyed them. And I think Nintendo is trying to hit that balance. Now, I'm not saying the Nintendo Switch is going to do as well as the PS2. I think the timing just won't be right for it. But I think it's going to be a great system. It's going to get great support. Because it's going to hit that right price. It's going to have good battery life. It's going to have great games. And the games are going to look good. It's all going to run really well. It's just not going to be as powerful as the PS4 and Xbox One. But that's okay. Because that's not that important. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on the lower specs for Nintendo Switch. I think it's actually going to be a good thing. It could be a good thing for the system. I think it's going to be great. I am pretty confident about this system so far. I've heard great things. And I'm really excited. Anyways, guys, give me your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video. It really helps out. And if you want to see more content from me on Just Restart, please subscribe. See you later, everyone.